Energy tonight is chaos. It's been quite an interesting, what's today, Wednesday? Just an interesting week. About nearly a week ago, I'll have to go check back the actual date, but nearly, come on, come with me. I gotta do some, gotta run a quick little errand, but I just thought I'd hop on. Yeah, I'm just coming out here. Actually, I'm gonna check this out. See what this is. This is pine needles. I'll tell you what this is for in a moment. But yeah, a week ago, I guess. This is going to be kind of wild, okay? Oh man, there's so much stuff. So about a week ago, after I had been placing some ads to get some more business, someone hit me up, and I have been struggling. You know, uh, those of you who've been following know that, and I had been struggling and with with business, and just all of a sudden, uh, out of nowhere, uh, hmm, that's weird. And we're like nearly 2 minutes into this, and there's like nobody on here. The last time I went on a live, nobody popped up, and this happened the last time. So that's kind of odd. I don't know if that means that I'm gonna have to go back on and look at their. Holy shit! That was a frog. See, it's a synchronicity. I mean, I see a lot of toads on here, out here, but a frog literally just fell and hit my chest. And interestingly, tonight, my son. This is a synchronicity right here. My son, he um, he found a frog. I guess he let it go. Okay, that's weird. Because I put that frog in this cup. I put a frog literally in this sealed cup, and now it's gone. What the heck happened? That is weird. That's weird, man. Okay, I walked out here and was talking, and I felt something tap on my chest. I felt something tap my chest, and I'm like, what was that? And it was like a light thud. I figured maybe like a moth or something. But my first mental response, it was frog, because right here, sitting down on the ground here, was this cup that earlier today I put a frog in that my son found, and the frog is gone out of the cup and it hasn't been opened. I'm trying to figure this out. What the heck? So now I'm gonna move my plants and see. This is some weird stuff. How did that frog get out of that cup? That's impossible. The lid is still sealed. So and then I just now. All right. Holy shit! It's the same fucking frog too. Where are the? That's so bizarre. Check that out. I'm trying to get a good visual on him. Okay, so the story is, if you're just joining, I put this. Okay, I walked outside and I felt something thump my chest, and this. I looked down and it was a frog that fell from the sky, seemingly, and hit my chest. Okay, to recap, I went to close the door. I felt something hit my chest. I looked down and I saw a frog. And I was like, oh, that reminds me of the frog that I put in the cup earlier today, right? And so I went down right here live on video. When I felt the frog hit my chest, it's like a tree frog. I felt it hit my chest, it landed, and I said to myself, oh, that reminds me of the frog that I found, that my son found today, and that I put into this cup. And so I reached down to get the cup. The cup is empty, the lid is still sealed, and the frog is not in there. But then of course, just now I put the frog back into the cup. This frog is a fucking magician. I think I need to name this frog Houdini. My son's going to be blown away. Like, what are the odds? I mean, I'm going to obviously conclude that it's the same frog, but I don't know. What the heck just happened, man? I'm telling you. And even the title of this live that I had to... What is happening, man? Even the title of this live, I said everything, it's like all chaos, right? All kinds of crazy stuff. That is wild. Hey, August. Thanks for the sub. Hey, Gabriel. Harvey's Garage. Kenny Both. Can you give me a shout out? My name is Kenny. What's up, Kenny? Type of frog, tree frog. I said that. It's the lucky flying frog guy. Yeah, right. For real. Yeah. That is some wild. That is wild. Dude, this frog is Houdini. I'm taking him inside. I'm going to tell my son, yeah, son, remember that frog that we put in the cup? And I set it down. And even before we went in tonight, I said, oh, yeah, by the way, there's the, I put the frog in that cup. And he's like, oh, okay. And then and we haven't touched it since then. So how did that frog get out of that cup? If anybody new is watching, I'm sorry. I'm going to repeat myself to everybody. I started this video inside. And then I was talking about this night has been wild. This whole week has been wild. I'll walk outside. I lay my pan on the brick. I'll walk back over and I feel something hit my chest. I look down and notice it's a frog. And then I say, oh, it's just like the frog we found earlier today. I pick up the cup. The cup is empty. No more frog. I search for a frog over here, and it's the same damn frog. And so I reopened the cup. Oh, and when I picked the empty cup up, it was still sealed from earlier. I'm telling you, man, that frog's a magician. And let me tell y'all something. One of the things that, and that happened right here on live, you know what I'm saying? But I was going to talk about a plethora of different things, strange synchronicities and stuff, okay? All right, are y'all ready? All right, so the first synchronicity, well, is, I live near Charlotte, North Carolina. Oh, yeah, we're going to let it go away. Here's why we're not letting it go right now. We're going to go somewhere else and let it go. Here's why we're not letting it go right now. Because see that pool right there? That is a saltwater swimming pool. and we have to get frogs and toads. I got a toad out of this pool this morning, and since it's, especially since it's salt water, even if it was chlorine, either way, it's not really good for the frogs. So whenever I catch frogs, I try to catch them and go release them somewhere else. And then also across the street, one of the neighbors has a pond around his yard. It's almost like a moat around his yard, and then some of the turtles come from over there, and some of the turtles come from. I need to wash my hands. Some of the turtles come from over. Sometimes turtles show up, but luckily they can't get into the pool area. But sometimes I have to take those turtles, and the man, when those turtles show up over here, he doesn't want us to put them back in his pond because we can't prove. We know they come from the pond, right? But we can't prove that they come from the pond, and he refuses to let us put them back in the pond because he says that they mess up the pond. So I always got to find. Like a place to take the turtles when they show up. There's been like 2 or 3. So bear with me because I'm gonna wash my hands since I just touched the frog. And so, all right, I'm gonna tell you some crazy synchronicities that have happened. Also, right? So I stay near Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay. And so recently a girl from Ukraine, a refugee, was on the light rail train, and recently I don't live in Charlotte, but recently I was thinking about going to Charlotte, and because one of my favorite artists is going to be there. Yeah, Irina Zarutska, however you say it. Well, check this out. This is going to be crazy, okay? This is going to be crazy. Recently, I was thinking about going to Charlotte because one of my favorite artists is coming in October. And so I was thinking about Charlotte, right? And I live about 20 minutes away from Charlotte. All right, so anyways, when I seen that story of the girl riding the light rail, it reminded me a couple years ago, I drove for Uber, right? And at the same light rail, I realized this tonight. I remembered that once upon a time when I was driving for Uber, I actually picked up a blonde Ukrainian girl. And we rode in the car for about 20 minutes, I guess. And talked, and I asked her about her life and her experience, and how Ukraine was, and how did she like the United States. We had a whole conversation, and and she told me that howdy Rudy, you're gonna have to you are definitely gonna. I actually fell asleep to your live last night. I was trying to listen to you talk about Matt, and I was trying to find something to listen to as I drifted off to sleep, and so sorry, I don't remember a thing. Well, I don't know how long you've been listening. It looks like you just hopped on, but you need to go back, and when I upload this, I'll set it to public so you can watch it. And the most bizarre thing just happened as soon as I uploaded, like within like 3 minutes after I uploaded it, with this frog. It's crazy. It's insane. And the title of the video says it's an insane time and an insane night. This weird, crazy thing just happened with the frog. And I really look forward to that. So anyways, when I was driving for Uber, I actually picked up a Ukrainian girl, and a couple years back, and we talked for about 20 minutes, and You know, I asked her all kinds of questions about herself. Like, I don't remember anything now, right? But you know, I didn't really. I noticed she had an accent, and I just asked her about herself. I didn't ask her where she was from. I just waited for her to volunteer that to me. And then eventually she told me she was a refugee from Ukraine. Well, guess what? She had long blonde hair. And guess where I picked her up from? The light rail. So it makes me wonder if yeah, like you gotta like um you gotta like uh you can't hang people on technicalities with words, especially in chat. You know what I'm saying? Like all he was saying is really is that, you know, it's that girl. That girl. You know, he's just being objective, right? He wasn't being diminutive towards her in any way by not specifically stating her name. I agree with Post Nostalgos that, you know, um you know, speaking of free speech, you know, people should just be able to, you know, say what they want. You know, nobody's dissing anybody. So, you know, um, I just don't think it's necessary to have to. Anyways, I mean, we're getting off topic, um, but anyways, tonight. See, at first I remembered the first thing I thought of. Hey, I was hoping to go to Charlotte, and I was hoping to. And then I remembered, yeah, I picked up a blonde Ukrainian girl one time. And then just about an hour ago, I was like, wait a minute, I actually picked her up from their light rail. And it kind of would make sense since, you know, I don't know how they do driving and licenses and stuff for refugees, but it kind of makes sense that probably a lot of them might have to take the, you know, public transportation since, uh, it might be out of necessity. Because I don't know how they get licenses or if they get licenses or how that works at all. But now I'm wondering if it was the same girl, right? I'm wondering if it was the same girl. Because I remember the girl that I picked up had a peculiar face. I remember seeing that she had kind of a peculiar looking face, not in a bad way, not in a mean way, but just kind of a unique looking face, if you know what I mean. And so I was looking at the Irina, whatever. I was looking at her face and I was like, wait a minute. I'm trying to, like, my memory. And I picked her up at kind of like as it was getting dark. So, anyways, yeah, I'm wondering if it was the same girl. So that's interesting. And we are back. Just give me a moment. I know I got you in kind of an odd position, but bear with me. Hold on. So, ran into a little issue, and so hopefully I can get back going here in just a moment. If you just bear with me for just a minute, I am kind of getting things reorganized so that I can continue the live. I am so happy that at least we were able to resume live despite the interruption, and that is awesome. So that is really awesome. I thought that was it. I didn't even think the video would save because I was thinking like that whole frog incident is going to be deleted, and if I get on here and I make like a video about what happened, nobody's going to believe it. But since we're back, I'd guess that means that it will remain. So, so yeah, as I was saying before, we were rudely interrupted, and so let me first let you know that was actually my fault, negligent negligence on my part that caused the the interruption. But you know, that's okay. We're getting back to business, and I think where we left off, I was talking about um how I began to wonder if that was the same girl uh from 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 the light rail that I picked up when I drove for Uber. Yes, sir. We're back. Let me kind of get back into our conversation. And by the way, Carnations for Jesus. Just wanted to say, hey, let me look on here and see what the conversation is, and then we'll get on topic. I got the. I'll get into more about it. So, Post Nostalgo said he's going to upload a video talking about that Ukrainian girl and Charlie Kirk, and I look forward to that. Y'all go check that out. So let's see. Okay. August. We'll see you later. I don't know if you're still on. I'm pretty sure you probably went to bed. Yeah, it could have been her. Yeah, that was in Charlotte. 20 minutes, from me. I live very close to Charlotte. And so I'm pretty sure you know where I live, Rudy. Even though like it's pretty easy to find out where I live, it's like I just kind of like keep it in a ambiguous realm. Just you know, you get what I'm saying. Um, uh, yeah, the phone didn't overheat this time. That was my fault. Um, yeah, it was on the light rail. Carnations for Jesus and Rudy. It was on the light rail, and that is where I picked up the same place that I picked up the Ukrainian girl. Um, watching an arrow swirl round and around. Is that what it looked like? Maybe it'll show up when I post it. Um, Frog Story was cool. Uh, I don't know if you got to see it, but yeah, it was pretty wild. You can rewatch this whenever I upload it, and you can check it out. And because I like told the story 3 or 4 times after it happened. I was looking at old pictures of frogs on my phone that I took back in 2022. Had an encounter with a frog a few days ago from under my house. Yeah, this morning I had to get a frog out of the pool, a toad, and then and seen a big toad tonight. Didn't catch it, but there was a tree frog. We got a trash can out in the back, and kind of like a reserve trash can just in case when we do our garbage, if we got too much to put in the main garbage can for pickup, we'll just put our garbage in the reserve and wait till next week. Well, there was a tree frog that hopped in there earlier, and and we finally found it, and because we didn't want it to throw it in the garbage. We didn't want it to go with the garbage, so we rescued it from our garbage can before taking the trash out, and then I put it in that Starbucks cup. Um, so uh, the lid was on the cup that the frog. The lid was on the cup that the frog. If it was the same frog, the lid was on the cup. I think I get what you're saying. Well, yeah, basically, as you've seen in the video, I reached down to pick up the cup with the lid still on it from previously when I put the frog in the cup and the lid was still on it, but the frog was not there. Nothing is a coincidence in this reality. See you. All right, we're back, bro. That's crazy. If that was the girl, wouldn't doubt it with how silly this reality is. Kind of funny. Just earlier, looked at a recipe called "Toad in the Hole." Wow. Oh, that sounds awesome. Uh, do you like the band called Toad the Wet Sprocket? It's a pretty cool band. It's like a '90s band. It's like my time, my day. The Toad the Wet Sprocket. Um, Hootie and the Blowfish did a cover of one of their songs, and Hootie and the Blowfish is from Columbia, South Carolina. They actually have a couple of cool songs. I'm not saying like I'm a big Toad the Wet Sprocket fan, but they got definitely a few cool songs if you're into like '90s, rock music. Um, so, anyways, so I'm pretty sure Rudy's going to mention this too, in his video coming up. But the weird, so that's the weirdness that stood out about, the girl that she got killed on the light rail train. Um, uh, she got, obviously stabbed in the neck, and then Charlie Kirk gets pew pewed in the neck, and so that's pretty wild. And I'm going to tell you, not from an esoteric way, that the first thing I thought of when I saw him get, well, I didn't see the video. I can't stomach stuff like that. Like, I accidentally saw a couple clips of that man walking with the knife and the blood dripping off, and I can't watch it. Like, I can't. I can deal with a whole bunch of other stuff and a whole lot of pressure, but when somebody's getting hurt like that, I can't look at stuff like that. But anyways, it will harm. It's too harmful for my psychology, right? Um, when I was 13, some dudes back in the Blockbuster video days, video stores and stuff, they rented this movie called Traces of Death, and it was a sequel to this other one called Faces of Death, and in those videos they show actual real killings on video and real suicides as they happen, like, and body mutilation and just things that are not good, really horrible, horrific things, and being done to people while they're alive and dead bodies, and all kinds of just gruesome, like, real stuff. And so I can't watch it, but I figured Rudy was going to make the connection with the neck thing. And but oh yeah, what I was going to say, non-esoteric, from a non-esoteric sense, the first thing that came to mind was the Reichstag fire from 1933. And for those that don't know, the Reichstag fire, allegedly, according to history, is when the Third Reich wanted to come into power and gain more power to eventually overthrow the government and then take full control of the government. Germany, they burnt a building on purpose and made it look like it was the other political party. And I think it's an odd coincidence, and again, not even from an esoteric stance. I'm sure that there's that level, there's the esoteric level to this, But I'm just saying, just immediate optics with psychological persuasion and influence and propaganda, etc. When I saw that, the first thing I was thinking about were his kids, the dude's kids, and because my son was working with me today, and he was the one that told me. He was like, "Dad," he went to go get a drink of water. He's like, "My friend said that Charlie Kirk got shot in the neck." I was like, "Holy crap!" And so we immediately like looked it up, and in that moment, it's like, man, it made me think of I got my kid with me, and and I thought of his kids, and then I just thought it seemed so weird that it was the neck, and then that girl, she was probably the main thing in the headlines. Uh, Irina, what the Ukrainian girl was the one that was in the predominantly in the headlines that I was seeing, and then he gets shot in the neck, and he is the embodiment and the whole representation of right wing conservative Jesus, you know, Christian nationalism, right? Which I think is a bad thing, Christian nationalism. And so, of all people, wouldn't he be one of the most ideal if it was a Reichstag moment? Wouldn't he be one of the best people to choose as the sacrifice for the cause if that was what it really was? So my mind like immediately went broad spectrum and thought of all these variables like doop 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 right in that moment, but they were all a bunch of different things all in one moment. But that was the one that stood out the most. Well, first his kids, and then that. I mean, he is the representation and the embodiment of everything that is, and so, conservatism and everything I mentioned. Jesus, conservative, Republican, and he becomes that martyr and a tool for a far right extremist far right agenda. So that's something, in my opinion, to be wary of, because you know what's worse than a lunatic, wacky, left-leaning liberal is a far right, wacky, crazy right-wing person. You know what I'm saying? So that's just as crazy. So the left-leaning liberals, they act all, I'm gonna get to the comments in a moment, but the a wacky left wing, the wacky left, the wacky radical left, they act like they're all about compassion and human being and human kindness and all this stuff. But we all know that that's just a tool for their agenda. They're not really like that. And then the conservatives are like, you got to be hard and work hard, and we love Jesus, and and kindness, and but common sense, kindness, but common sense. And they're the ones like the wacky left might get physically violent, but the radical right, they're going to be covert violent. What's that, Jimmy? You don't believe in Jesus? Well, fellas, this is something we need to pray about. Jimmy, come have a talk with us. And then, like, next thing you know, we can't find Jimmy. He didn't show up for church this morning. Well, I hope he's all right. Well, we have contacted the sheriff. The sheriff says there ain't really nothing they can do about it. And then, basically, behind the scenes, they've kidnapped Jimmy and dug a ditch, shot him, and, he's, oh, we don't know what happened to Jimmy. And Jimmy, in this scenario, this is an abstract, I'm speaking kind of in an abstract way, where Jimmy is kind of like the representation of anyone that goes against any radical right movements, if that makes sense. So I kind of didn't do my best on that example, but I've written that out before in the past, or said so on an old Facebook post or something. And if that ever pops up, I'll definitely remember it if it pops up. But I'm gonna get back to the comments now. Oh, I've come here 1,000 times. Some things never change. Lay me down. Now the arrow is unbearable boring. Goodbye. Well, in Jesus' name, we love you, carnations for Jesus. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen. Um, Never heard of it. I had one of the Hootie and the Blowfish CDs. Darius Rucker. His son is popular. He's got like millions of followers. I forget his name though. But when his son, it's kind of weird, in my opinion. I mean, maybe it's just the way things are these days, but he seems kind of weird. Like, and maybe this is like the new music marketing trend. And obviously, he rode on the coattails of his dad, right? And which is fine. You know, if you know if you have a famous dad who's an artist, and you decide you want to be an artist, and your dad helps push you to popularity and stardom. I mean, that's your life. That's how you grew up. That is your unfair advantage, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It just is what it is. It's like, so you take that opportunity. I mean, if you have the opportunity, like what else are you gonna do? Like start from the very bottom, go live in a dumpster, and be like, well, my dad's rich, but I'm just gonna go live in a dumpster. If I were in his position, I would do the same. Probably. So I'm not knocking that. What I do think is weird is he'll post TikToks of a song. He'll put out a song, and he'll make TikToks of the same song over and over again. And I know you got to spread your message. I know you got to promote it, but it's weird because like it's always like the same song every time, and he depicts these scenarios where they're acting, and they're like, and the person suddenly hears him start singing, and he's like, and at first like they're just acting normal, and then they get caught off guard because they're like amazed. They go like they're like he suddenly out of nowhere starts singing, and they're like they act shocked like, oh my god. Like the sound engineer is at the mixer, and he's like, and it's staged and it's to promote the song, but it seems kind of cheesy the way he does it, is all I'm saying. I was raised on 4chan, so I've seen some sick stuff. Not to say that wasn't horrible, but I'm sort of desensitized to it. Oh God, man. I never really been on 4chan. I think I might have looked it up one time, but check it out. Um, One time I was at work at the most horrible warehouse job I ever had, and not the paint warehouse. One even worse than the paint warehouse, because the paint warehouse wasn't really that bad up until the last 4 to 6 months of it. But I worked at this warehouse and it was horrible. Anyways, this is back when people were like all the normies were finally getting on the computer. You know what I'm saying? And then so E-Bombs World came out. E-Bombs World, and so that my Sean John clothing wearing co-worker, my Sean John clothing wearing co-worker, he liked to get on E-Bombs World when business was slow, and he would get on E-Bombs World. And anyways, he played a video one time, and he was like, yeah, this guy gets crushed by a dump truck, and this dump truck, a guy in like a little moped or maybe even a motorcycle, as the dump as is a trash truck, a garbage truck. As it turns, he slides underneath the back wheels, and then the driver realizes what is happening, and he slams on the brakes to try to avoid crushing the guy. However, it's too late, and the guy goes under the back wheels, and it ends up like crushing him and then sliding across the pavement. So it just crushes him, and you see him literally smeared across the road. In a and that stuck in my brain for a while. And it really affected me. And for some reason, though, now for some reason, and I don't know, in my mind I go, well, maybe I just need to toughen up more. But I'm more sensitive to stuff now than before. Before I could tolerate gore scenes if they come up in a movie, or murder scenes and stuff, but now it's like, now I kind of feel like it's hard for me to watch them for some reason. Even sometimes, like, I can watch fight videos. Sometimes I'll watch fight videos, right? But I can't hardly. It's weird because I can watch fight videos, but sometimes I can't. I don't know how to explain it. Just sometimes I just can't see certain things. I don't know how to explain it. I'm gonna be rambling on trying to self-diagnose myself. But um, oddly enough, I refused to watch the George Floyd thing, and my mother-in-law was pushing me to watch it. I never actually. I mean, I seen like clips of it. Always with the 33. 1933, of course. Oh yeah. Wait, do you like science? I kind of like science. It's interesting. I like physical science as far as like the quantum breakdown of reality. In that sense, it interests me because I'm curious about the building blocks of reality. And I even question that because that's probably all made up too. You get what I'm saying? But it's fun to explore to see what you can find within it. I don't know, what kind of science do you like, August? Charlie Kirk is a hero. Is a hero to the Gen Zs. I don't know what shenanigans Not Nilk is pulling, but it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting, and that's why, like, I titled this live that it's all chaos, because it reminds me of chaos magic, and a little bit. It's like everything's just pop, 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 pop everywhere. Even at a nuance, even at a meta level, for me personally, you know what I'm saying? It's micro and macro. So, like, interestingly, weirdly, as I posted in my community post, I'm listening to, because I've been following the Donna Adelson trial. I did not follow the Charlie Adelson trial. And honestly, it did not interest me because, frankly, I thought the dude just kind of looked weird, and I just didn't want to look at him. I didn't want to see that face pop up in my feed. And I was like, I'll just avoid that trial. Oh, he did something bad. And, he was guilty. He did something bad. And he just kind of looked weird, and I just didn't want to keep seeing his face. But then, as like, when I seen where they where Donna Adelson was about to go on a plane to Vietnam to escape into Vietnam to uh, get out of being accused of, and to get out of trouble. Then that became interesting to me at that point a little bit, and recently, as they went through her murder trial, it was increasingly interesting because I began to become interested in the dysfunctional family dynamic going on there within that family, and So that was interesting. And what was my point? Oh yeah, and so with the events of today, suddenly I was listening to this video of that lawyer guy that does videos about the Adelson cases, and he reveals that that they're estranged. The black sheep of the family that got away from all the dysfunction, his wife was on a game show, and it just so happens that Donna Adelson at one point was on Wheel of Fortune, and then also the daughter also at one point was on a game show, and like they I mean, I guess it's kind of common for like wealthy people to just have the time and the ability to kind of end up on game shows just because it's what they do for fun. Like they find something to do. Maybe that's common. But I just thought it was weird to be included amongst all the chaos that would pop up into my personal reality. And now they were on game shows. Dun, 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 dun. And so meta, you know, from a more meta esoteric reality breakdown kind of observation, it's like that's the reality. It had to all of a sudden, it's like when the reality, it starts like the screws start loosening up a bit and it can't control itself. It's like it's losing control. It just hiccups and just burps out anything. So it just spat out the and also the murderers and the people connected to them were on game shows. It's so it's like all exaggerated. It's all cartoonish. It's where like the reality gets drunk, or you know, takes the wrong medication, or goes into overload. Like when a system goes into overload, or like when you got like a phone that's got too much storage on it, and then it starts acting up. Well, that's what the reality's doing because it's too much. All this energy is too much, and this just goes, oh yeah, and by the way, the murderers and their families were on game shows. You know, it kind of reminds me of what I just did. Kind of reminds me of something that you do, Rudy. When you go, whatever that thing is that you do when you're making fun of stupid people or something. I don't, you know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna get okay. All right, wait. So, do you like science? Yeah, I like science. Charlie Kirk is only knew about the dude because my dad brought him up a few times. Still waiting for the name of the pew. Are they gonna have 3 names like Lee Harvey Oswald? Yeah, I seen it. It was like some old man, some old grandpa looking dude. So we got the Donna Adelson, which is the grandma that murdered, that orchestrated the murder of the Jewish grandma who orchestrated the murder of her Jewish son-in-law. She's Jewish, and then now we got, you know, in my immediate realm, in my immediate reality, right? Like from more of a reality kind of observation. So I just watched the murder trial of the grandma, and now I'm going to watch the trial of a grandpa. Seemingly, at least he's the age of what a grandpa would be. So grandpa and grandma in my reality, in our immediate reality within our circles, you know, kind of, at least for me anyway. So grandma, grandpa, game shows, Charlie Kirk neck, girl close to me, not far from me, stabbed in the neck. Potentially someone that I've actually met. Potentially. The frog falling on my shirt from earlier. I guess I can go ahead and tell the story again since we're kind of along the way in the video now. So when I first started this video, I was just babbling on randomly for a few minutes, and then I went outside. And earlier we found that frog in the trash can. We put it in the cup, and I don't like to let the frogs go here.
too close to the pool, so I try to let them go far away from, because it's saltwater pool, right? But even saltwater or not, regardless, you don't want the frogs getting near the pool, chlorine or saltwater, right? Uh, so we got them, rescued them, and I put them in the cup, and I set it outside the front door. And before we went inside tonight, I told my son, I said, oh, we actually went outside to collect after we rescued the frog and I set the cup down. We went back outside to go gather some pine needles. Okay, I'll tell you why in a minute. You might already know, because you might have seen a video floating around, but I'll tell you in a minute. So this might pique Kirk's interest, and Rudy, you might want to try this with your daughter. So I'll tell you what it is in a minute. So we go collect some pine needles. I'm gonna see if y'all guess what it is while I'm talking. We went to gather some pine needles, and on our way back inside, I told my son, I was like, oh yeah, the frog's right there in the cup. And he was like, oh, okay. Because I put it in the cup earlier. We came back inside. We did our thing. And so I put on this live. He already went to bed. And I put on this live. And I said, man, it's crazy. Everything's chaotic, crazy. And I babbled on for a few minutes. And then I went outside. And I opened the door. And I was talking about how crazy everything was. And I go to shut the door. And I felt a thump on my chest. And in the corner of my eye, I thought it felt like my immediate internal response in that micro nanosecond was like something hit me, bug, frog, because it had like a weight to it. It did not feel quite like a moth, but it felt more like a frog. I look down and I see a frog, and it's just like the frog from earlier, but it happened in such a nanosecond that like that frog immediately jumped away into the shadows behind my plants. All happened in a split second. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Just like the frog we found earlier. So I reached down to get the cup with the frog in it to show everybody what I meant. And I was going to say, this is the frog we found earlier. And I look in the cup, and the cup's empty. The lid's still tight on it. I was like, what? So I find the frog that hit me and get a better look at it, and it's like literally the exact frog. Almost like it was like waiting on me to get revenge. Like, yeah, ninja frog, you know, and it kicked me before it decided to run off. But I caught it again, and I put it back in the cup. So I'm nicknaming that frog Frogdini, because it escaped from the cup earlier. Now, my only other and this was like, it's been like an hour since we came inside, and maybe an hour and a half even, that we were doing anything, you know. And my only logical, rational explanation is that when I shut the lid on the cup, but it seems like I remember making sure it went in. The only thing I could think of is it jumped out last second before I closed the lid. It just does not make sense, though. That was crazy. You know, I always try to make like a rational sense out of everything, you know, because Christianity kind of put me in a place where, like, I I will correct. Like I used to sit there as a Christian because I went to different churches that had different beliefs and was around different people that had different beliefs. So I was getting taught a bunch of different things. And at one point, they said that you could literally move things, right? Move mountains with faith the size of a mustard seed. So I would be sitting there trying to move stuff with faith, right? And I would do all kinds of stuff. I would pray for this and that. I would pray for the right woman. I would pray for a girlfriend. I would pray for this to happen or that to happen. And as you know, I was frequently let down. I was frequently, virtually every time, left down, right? I wanted my dad to not be an alcoholic anymore. So what I do, I pray because prayer works. And my dad never changed, right? And the only reason why he even stopped drinking is simply and only because he got too sick to drink. That's the only reason why he stopped. Not because he decided he wanted to quit drinking, not because he wanted to change for his kids. He only stopped drinking because he got too sick to drink. Period. Same thing with smoking his cigarettes. Only reason why he stopped smoking was because of that. So my son and me, I'm gonna tell you what my son and me did in a minute, but I'm gonna read some comments first. Still waiting for the name of the pew pew. Yeah, I warned my daughter about both extremes of the political spectrum. Awesome. Yeah, that's what me and my son were talking about today. We were talking about and I was telling my son that I actually lean more libertarian, but even anarchy, right? Based off of my understanding, my understanding of what it is. Industrial accidents are pretty brutal. Shadow of the Hedgehog knew how to control the chaos. At least using the Chaos Emeralds. Kind of a contradiction. Controlling chaos, something that is the antithesis of order and control. Antithesis of order and control. Yeah, so I get what you're saying. But I don't know who that is. It's probably like a character from a show, I'll assume. And what was I gonna say? But yeah, all of this stuff happening right now, I feel like it is chaos magic in some sense. I think that they even if chaos magic isn't real, I think a lot of those people that are involved in the high ups of political spheres, I believe that they believe in that stuff, and then that's what they do. You know what I mean? Even in the right, on the right, and even if they're not doing that, they are doing definitely Pavlovian tactics, Freudian, Bernays, all that stuff. They are definitely leveraging the mechanics of the human mind in individuals and on the greater scale of things, definitely. And that in and of itself is the chaos magic. Like it is just persuasion and it's just literal tactics to bring attention to one or several things in order to program the mind. And I had an evolutionary psychologist tell me that if you want to change someone's mind, especially a child, now this guy is one of the guys that helped me actually get out of the child support uh, fraud. Anyways, he did. He he claims he worked at John Hopkins and worked with the guy that invented modern transgender, and the whole woke transgender thing, right? And he said he worked for him for 10 years, and he didn't agree with the stuff he was coming up with. That's what he claims. And that guy's name was John Money, and he claims that like he is the guy that created all of the stuff that we are seeing now. Uh, uh, I don't guess I have any reason not to believe him, because like you can look him up. Uh, I forget his name now. It's Bill something. I'll have to look it up. Uh, Willem. It's weird. It's weird because he's like an immigrant from Switzerland or something, but he grew up in the United States, and I think his family is extremely wealthy, and I got a lot to say about that, but I don't want to get into it on a live. I would rather do that in private. Maybe one of these days when we can get together on a platform where I feel more, where I can open up about some things, then I'll talk about it more. But anyways, he said if you get a child, anyways, he studied behavior at the molecular level. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and which is weird. And I always thought if I ever met somebody that did that, like he probably would not vibe with me, if that makes sense. Like usually I can tell when I'm going to vibe with someone or not, and usually people, not in our circle really, but you get what I'm saying? Not amongst us, but like all of my life, anytime I've met somebody with similar interests, other than now, it's like they're repulsed by me, or they just don't like me, or they're just show no interest in. Like I'm literally talking to a guy that his career was traveling around the world and studying behavior, literally, and operant. He did an experiment with the mice, like, and I'm sure a lot of those psychologists do this too. He's like just like the mouse utopia was just one of many mice based experiments. You know, I'm pretty sure they all do that, like to some extent, but he did that type of thing to like study the behaviors in mice, and you know, in different environments, like social environments and stuff. Anyways, getting to my point finally. He says if you really want to shift somebody's mind, especially a child though, and effectively brainwash them, you just remove them from their normal environment, and so that they absorb all kinds of different stimuli, and it just kind of jolts their consciousness from what they're accustomed to and safe with. And if they're in that new environment and an authority comes in, you can you can persuade them more, because they're looking for an authority for safety, because it's a new environment that they're unfamiliar with. And he put this in the context of parental alienation. So so he was saying basically, if you can, as a parent, get your child out of the toxic parent's environment, you can effectively persuade your child back over into believing you, because what a lot of children go through in parental alienation is they are brainwashed already by the toxic parent, and they oftentimes believe them. But if you can somehow get them into your environment as a healthy parent, you can easily persuade them back into, believing that you are the good parent if they are a child that. See, my son never believed I was a bad parent. His mom always tried to say I was a bad parent, but he never believed it, right? But there are kids that actually believe it, and so likewise, you could use that for evil purposes. You know what I'm saying? You can use the opposite. This is how, like, people, when they get kidnapped, they get brainwashed easily because they're removed from, like, young people. They can get brainwashed easily, and kids in their new environment with their captive, whoever has them captive can easily persuade and brainwash them into even loving them because they have power in the dynamic somehow. There's a word for it, and I can't remember that word, where they even, like, women will fall in love with their captors. It's not Schadenfreude. That's getting. It's not shell shock. What is that word? I'm trying not to look. I don't know if y'all know it or if y'all would look it up, but or remember it. But I'm trying not to look in the comments because I want to think of it on my own. Oh man, there's a word for it, anyways, and it's like a real phenomenon. Industrial accidents and shadow of the playing Silk Song made me remember that the whole theme of the first Hollow Knight game was controlling the void. Yeah, that's interesting. Void fractile still going on then. The little bug you play as is a shadow that can't be controlled by his dreams. A radiance took over everyone, and the knight you play as can't be controlled. He essentially is a mystic. Okay, the little bug you play as is a shadow that can't be controlled by his dreams. A radiance took over everyone, and the knight you play as can't be controlled. He's okay. Gotcha. Yes, Billy, that's exactly what's going on. It's a game show specifically tailored to you. Yep. Like, each in our own experience, it's like the reality is going to render to each one of us like a I've often said, like, it's kind of like a narcissist, too, in a lot of ways. It starts acting like a narcissist, tries to suck your energy, tries to manipulate you, gaslight you, and then plays around, and then for each and every person, it serves us up each our own specific, treat, or, it renders, like, relative. Yeah, it's a game show specifically tailored to you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's tailored, like you'll experience your own tailored version of, of whatever. And the boomer shooter, frog fractile incoming, frog fractions. That's the frog that Captain Ginyu switched bodies with in Dragon Ball. Oh god, yeah. LOL, forgot about that one. I've had a frog fractile going on for a month or so. There's the frogs in TMNT. Yeah, I remember that frog guy. Shadow the Hedgehog was from one of the Sonic games, Sonic 2 Adventure specifically. Yeah, Stockholm Syndrome, I think that's it. Stockholm Syndrome. Yes, sir. So, tonight, my son and me came in and, we went outside, and I've been meaning to do this for, like, maybe a couple weeks now. This little video popped up. This old country man, like, hey, yeah, man, back in the day. And he seems like a cool dude. And anyways, he was like, me and my friends, or me and my whoever, we used to get pine needles and make our own soda out of them, and we used to call it Sprite. And basically, and that reminded me of like me and as a kid when he said that we used to call it Sprite. Anyways, he takes pine needles and he cuts them, he washes them off, and he cuts them up and he puts them in a jar, and then he adds sugar to it, and he lets it ferment for like 3 or 4 days, and basically it ferments in a tight container, and it fizzes up, creates carbonation, and basically you make your own soda with pine needles. And so that's what we did tonight. We went and harvested the pine needles, washed them, cut them up, put them in a jar, and by Sunday we're gonna see what pine needle soda tastes like. So looking forward to that. But yeah, it's like this has become a chaotic reality. Like I've noticed both on the micro and macro, like in my own tailored reality, and in the external reality. You know, it's like all. And I want to point out that I was about to say at the very beginning of this live, like it really started to get crazy the moment that I put that ad out. Speaking of tailored reality, I put that ad out, and then I got business. The guy gave me the deposit for this job, and so I started on that job today, and my son's helping me, and it really got crazy after that, right? And then the very next day or two was when that event occurred with the DSS. You know, almost like, you know, something good happens, it has to be attacked. You know, like the moment something good happens, so, and it's almost like that. And then it's like I've noticed during the times, and I would wonder and question this, like, because I really like, when I was listening to your video where you were saying that the reality, you were gaining some traction, you know, something like that, and you reached some new levels of comprehension, awareness for yourself, and in that moment they switched you to first shift, which took away, or seemed like, or felt like it was taking an attempt to take away from the growth and that progress you were making. And so that's what I'm trying to say. I'm pointing that out. Like, it's like, then once you get past that, or once you achieve something like significant, then it wants to try to attack. And then when the attack, it's almost like, for me, to some degree, I'll let it go with the whole DSS thing. I kind of like let it go. I got some kind of good news on that, if you want to call it that. It still wasn't a good thing, but I feel more at peace with it now. But in the beginning, I was like traumatized, right? Like I was like, geez, right? But after I kind of just attempted to, it's still sitting there, I ain't gonna lie, it still kind of unnerves me thinking about it. But after I did my best to kind of just said, brush it off, like not gonna worry about it, then it's as if like that's when the reality in those moments starts to go crazy, right? Like it panics, it can't do anything, and then it gets all discombobulated, like it doesn't know what to do, and then it starts doing crazy things like, oh yeah, and by the way, did you know that they were on a game show? And then it starts like showing the different clips of them being on game shows, of all things, right? It's so weird. It's like it gets desperate. In other words, like if you notice at times, when it doesn't, when you don't let it affect you, it's as if it knows that it's not getting affected, just like a narcissist. And now you're driving it crazy, and so it goes crazy, right? Pretty sure I got recommended that pine needle video as well, weirdly enough. Yep. Man, my bad. Moved the phone down because. So yeah, I was just saying, like, it might be something that you could do. But yeah, look it up, pine needle soda, and you'll see this like old man, and he's got like um overalls on, and he's like old country feller, like that. And he makes it sound like it's good. You know what I mean? He does make it, like he does make it sound like it's pretty tasty. And when he takes a sip of it, he's like, like he. It looks like he like really likes it, so it makes you wonder like what's it going to taste like. And he said it doesn't taste like pine needles. He said maybe just a little bit, but like it has like a certain kind of. Like, I can't wait, man. I'm gonna make a little video clip when I drink some of it. It's gonna be awesome. Hopefully, it's gonna be awesome. We made a jar just enough for like one 16.9 ounce and a half bottles. So I guess we get about 3/4 of a bottle apiece. But yeah, everything's pretty wild. It's a whack night. It's a whack time. Like it's almost like if I get off of here and look in the feed, what's like this next new thing? Like it's like going crazy right now. And it's almost like it wants us to focus on all that stuff. Cause like in Magic, like focus your attention to get your attention energetically. I don't know if you heard of reality transurfing, but like it's a pendulum, and the pendulum wants all of the energy focused on it, and it grows that pendulum. Yeah, 9/11. Yep, that's what I. Yep, 9/11. It's like they want that to be the main headline tomorrow, so they perfectly timed it. That's another reason why I was thinking like the Reichstag fire and the timing of it. Um, makes sense with and the ultimate energy month. It seems. Yeah, that's cool that you brought that up, man. That you seen that connection with 9/11 and all. Ultimate Energy Month. I bet it's going on 12 o'clock. It's 12:11. I do gotta continue that, make some progress on that job tomorrow. So I'm gonna get off here, and man, I look forward to your video, Rudy, about those events. I look forward to that, for real. Um, and I enjoyed the reality benders stuff. It's pretty cool. Something good to listen to while I work, and I got a whole day's worth. Oh yeah, yeah, y'all take it easy. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. I seen it's been giving me multiple notifications for your content lately when you upload, Rudy. Like, I don't know if you go back and I knew you went back and edited that one and then re-uploaded it. I know you did that. And I watched an hour of it or listened to an hour of it the other day, so far. And that's when I made some comments on it. And so I'll definitely be hopping back on that again. And gonna probably go back and listen to your one that you did on Matt. That, see, right before I hopped on here, it gave me a notification for that. and then the first thing that pops up on the screen is like Matt's up in the corner and stuff. So I'll check that out too. All right, y'all. Peace.